What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another hat format replay review for you guys. If you're interested in sending in your hat format replays, you can go down to the video description to find all the information on how to go about sending those in. Anyways, the match I have for you today, we have Odyssey Icaros, who is going to be on Spellbook, versus Tony Mark 7147, who is going to be on Geargia hands. So anyways, guys, let's get straight into it. Here, it looks like Tony is going to win the rock, paper, scissors and get to start this one out. Opening hands, we see Grand Spellbook Tower, Fiendish Chain, Maxi, Master, and Blue Boy. And on the other side, we see Armor, Torrential, Geargia Arsenal, Geargiano, and Ice Hand. And here, Tony will get to draw for turn, getting a copy of Geargia gear. So pretty solid hand, honestly, setting the Armor and then setting to back row over to Odyssey, who gets a copy of Bottomless for turn. And here they're going to set the copy of Blue Boy, very interesting, and then setting Fiendish Chain, Bottomless, and going to end phase. And here Geargia gear is going to be activated in the end phase, summoning a copy of MK2 and MK2. And then here it looks like in draw phase, Tony's going to draw a copy of Forbidden Lance, and Odyssey is going to instantly max C, obviously, because probably one of the first actions is going to be something along the lines of overlaying with the MK2s. So here they go to main phase, flip up the Armor, and add a copy of Accelerator. And then they're going to overlay for a copy of Geargigan X. Odyssey draws a copy of Eternity, and they are also going to bottomless the Geargigan X. So, but the Lance is chained. This is a card that, Geargia doesn't really play, but in the tournament review for this actual event, I had shown off Tony's deck, and he was on like Lance and Chalice, which was extremely interesting, and I thought it was really cool. And here we do get to see that actually come up. So very nice to see that. And so here the Geargigan will be able to stay using its effect and adding a copy of Accelerator there, and then normal summoning a copy of Ice Hand, going to battle phase, attacking into the Blue Boy, and here the Blue Boy is going to flip, allowing Odyssey to add a copy of Secrets. Next, attacking in with the Armor and Geargigan X, and after that, doing a little bit of work on the damage there. Main phase 2, they are going to use Armor effect to flip itself back face down and passing it over to Odyssey, who gets a copy of Crescent, which they don't have any Spellbook spells engraved, so they will be able to activate that. And here that's what they're going to do, revealing Secrets, Fate, and Power. And here they do get the copy of Secrets, activating Secrets to add a copy of Blue Boy. After that, Blue Boy is going to be summoned using the effect. Looks like they're just going over what was revealed off of Crescent, but Blue Boy's going to activate, adding a copy of Power here. Power is going to be able to be activated. Next, Master is going to be able to be activated, revealing the Tower. And I believe they copied the Power again, so making so the Blue Boy is going to gain 2,000 to be able to attack over the Geargigan X. And it looks like the Geargigan X is going to activate its effect, summoning back the MK2. And then here, double Power is going to activate, so Odyssey will be able to add the copy of Fate and Master here. Going to main phase 2, activating Fate, banishing 3 to banish the set copy of Armor here, then activating Tower and passing it over to Tony, who gets a copy of Bottomless here. So I still feel like Tony's in a pretty solid position with board presence and card advantage, especially having double Accelerator in hand is very strong. Here it looks like they're going to summon the Arsenal, special summon the Accelerator, special another Accelerator, and Odyssey's going to think here that was a little bit risky if there was a Torrential or something, though at the same time Accelerator would be able to add cards back, so that is at least something here. I guess they're taking some time to think. Here, they're going to go with the double Accelerator into another copy of Geargigan X, use the ability, but it looks like Odyssey's going to chain that Fiendish Chain here. Next, switching everything to attack, and going battle phase, just pushing in for a lot of damage here. And even now, Odyssey isn't really out of it, I wouldn't say. Here, the Arsenal is going to activate its effect, summoning an Armor from deck, using the Armor to then set itself, and setting that copy of Bottomless. Here, Odyssey gets a copy of Wisdom for turn, and then in standby phase, Tower is going to be able to put back the Fate to get a draw. Here, getting a copy of Justice is very good, summoning the Justice, and maybe Tony was thinking on the Bottomless there. But it looks like they're allowing it through, so Secrets is going to be able to be activated, adding a copy of Life. After that, Life reveal Master and banish the blue boy to summon the blue boy. Next, after that, Eternity is going to add back the power, activate power on the blue boy, activating Master, revealing Wisdom on, I think that was the power again, going to battle phase, running over the MK2, and adding a copy of Fate, and then running over the set, which is the armor, and armor is going to search a copy of Accelerator, okay. And Odyssey will get another search off of the power, this time getting a copy of Secrets. Here, they're just going to set the Fate and go to end phase, use the copy of Justice to add a copy of Eternity and High Priestess. And over to Tony, who gets a copy of Geargia Gear, which might be dead at this point. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so that probably is a dead card, unfortunately, here. But again, they still do have a lot of board presence. They still have the Gear Gigant, which obviously is under Fiendish Chain, but it is still a wall to get over. They do have, some pressure still here. They do have an Accelerator and some decent back row. Oh, they do have the Torrential. So here it looks like right away, Odyssey is going to use the Fate to banish the Geargiano, and Tony's just going to go battle phase, running over the blue boy, back over to Odyssey, who gets a copy of Book of Moon, uses the tower, putting back the, I believe, Eternity, and drawing a copy of Crescent here, activating Secrets, getting a copy of Blue Boy, and summoning the blue boy. This really shows, and then adding a copy of Wisdom, this really shows how grindy of a deck Spellbook can be. Even when it seemed like, Odyssey didn't have a lot of card advantage or anything, here they are completely back in it. While their life total is low, it still feels like a very commanding position, just out grinding all of the cards that Tony had here. And so here High Priestess is going to activate, and I think they're taking a second to think here. Revealing the 3. And here it comes. Here comes the High Priestess. Will we see the Bottomless? No, they're going to allow it through, banishing the Fate to pop the back row. Unfortunately, it is that Geargia Gear. Next, Eternity is going to be able to add back the copy of Master, or wait, what was that? I think they went to add Master and then Master copy Eternity add the copy of Fate. I believe that's what happened there. Then setting 2 other back row over to Tony, who gets a copy of Compulse. Here they're going to normal summon the Accelerator, and Book of Moon is going to be chained to that. Maybe they were thinking maybe an Exciton play or something. But anyways, the Ice Hand is going to try to attack over the blue boy, but Fate is going to be able to be activated here, banishing the copy of Ice Hand. And here they're just going to set a card over to Odyssey, who gets a copy of Max C. Here Tower is going to put back the Eternity and draw another copy of Justice here. So then High Priestess is going to banish the Fate to pop the Bottomless, normal summon Justice, switch the blue boy to defense, activate Wisdom, and switch the High Priestess to attack, and attempt to attack over the Gear Gigant. And obviously we see the little bit of bait there, activating the Wisdom in advance, so that Tony would think that the copy of Wisdom's already been used. So now they're activating Compulse, and the second copy of Wisdom can be activated, so they will run over this Gear Gigant. And here the Gear Gigant can float into the MK2, but Justice is just going to attack over that end phase, adding a copy of High Priestess and a copy of Eternity by banishing the copy of Justice. Over to Tony, who gets a copy of Firehand. Okay, that's at least something. They're going to normal summon the Firehand, flip the Accelerator, overlay for Cowboy for game. So that was a very crazy game 1. Honestly, I didn't even think Odyssey was going to come back the way they did almost, but really wild game. So moving on into game number 2, Odyssey will get to start this one out. Opening hands, we see Spellbook of Wisdom, Fiendish Chain, Book of Moon, Spellbook of the Master, and Secrets. And on the other side, we see Lance, Geargia Armor, Geargiano, Debunk, and DD Crow. And here, Odyssey will get a draw for turn, getting a copy of Fate for turn. So honestly, a very strong hand from Odyssey, but also that DD Crow from Tony might actually put in some work. Here, Secrets is going to be able to be activated, adding a copy of Blue Boy, summoning the Blue Boy, adding another copy of Secret, so working on the follow-up already, instead of going for maybe, say, something like a tower. But here, the Spellbook of the Master is going to be able to be activated, and the Crow is going to come down to banish the copy of Secrets. So unfortunately, Odyssey won't get the search here, and then it looks like he's just going to set 2 and pass it over to Tony, who gets a copy of Firehand. Kind of interesting also to keep the hands in against Spellbook, since Spellbook can just deal with it really well with cards like Fate, as well as, you know, most of their monsters are pretty weak, so you can't even like crash these into much. Though I guess at the same time, you do want to have cards that can apply pressure without, say, having to rely on your armor that can also just easily get banished by Fate. So it gives, I guess, more options. So maybe it does make sense to keep it in, but it just never really feels good. Usually Spellbook is very favored in a Geargia matchup in a lot of cases, though it is, you know, kind of close in some ways as well. But anyways, keep moving on here. Here, the armor is going to be summoned and attacking into the blue boy, but here Fiendish Chain is going to be able to be activated, and Tony is just going to set 2 here and pass it over to Odyssey, who gets a copy of High Priestess, which is kind of funny given they do have 3 Spellbook spells if they really want to go for it right away. And here it looks like they were trying to go for that High Priestess, but Debunk is going to be able to be activated here. Secrets can then be activated to get a copy of Blue Boy summoned to add a copy of Master. From here, it looks like Master is going to be able to be activated, this time getting a copy of Tower, so getting the resources going. Here, Book of Moon is going to be able to be activated on the other copy of Blue Boy that was summoned the previous turn, and it's going to be set and then flipped back face up, this time adding a copy of Eternity. And, oh, they're saying wait, so they're taking a second to think, so maybe they're using this on the Book of Moon, I guess, so it won't flip? Okay, I guess so. I think that's what they're doing, so they're just going to overlay the 2 copies of Blue Boy into a copy of Daigusto Phoenix, detaching a material, so now the Phoenix can attack twice. And from here, we are somewhat in a simplified game state already. Main phase 2, overlaying for a copy of Downward, activating the Tower, and setting the copy of Fate and Wisdom. And over to Tony, who's going to get a copy of MK2. So unfortunately, it's not looking great here. They're going to normal summon the MK2 to bring back the armor, and Fate will be able to just kind of check this. Here, they use the effect to flip it back face down. Here, Odyssey draws for turn, getting a copy of Temperance. And let's see, Standby Face Tower is going to put back a copy of Master and draw into an MST. Here, did they use the Fate just now? Or not Fate, Wisdom? I think they did activate the Wisdom here just so they could then trigger the Temperance to then tribute itself and summon a copy of High Priestess. Yeah, I think that's what they did there. Then banishing the Master to pop the armor and then attacking in. So again, just another way that Spellbook can really deal with armor very well. And here, Odyssey ends up holding the copy of MST here, so that's kind of an interesting play, but I guess they just want to hold it here, no reason really to overcommit. Tony gets a copy of MST, and they're going to set the Firehand, set the MST. Here, it looks like the Odyssey's going to get a copy of Master for turn, standby phase attempt to use Tower, but MST is going to be chained to the activation, so the Tower will then kind of miss timing and not be able to get the draw and not be able to, well, I guess the Tower won't get the draw because it's no longer on the field and it's a field spell, and then it misses timing because it was attempting to activate, so it won't get the summon ability from its effect. But anyways, here banishing 3 to activate Fate, and banish the, I believe that was the Firehand there. So moving on to a game number 3, very back and forth. It's always going to be a back and forth with this type of decks. But anyways, this time Tony will get to start this one out. Opening hands, we see Spellbook of Secrets, Temperance, Fiendish Chain, Solemn Warning, and Life. And on the other side, we see Lance, DD Crow, Macro Cosmos, Geargiano, and Debunk. So honestly, this is going to be an interesting matchup. Macro Cosmos does so much against so many decks, and Geargia is luckily one of those decks that can really take advantage of it and kind of play even through it in a sense. So here, just setting, they forgot to draw for turn, and here they drew a copy of Imperial Ironwall. Okay, that is a wild card here. So setting 4 Also, a little contradictory, actually, now that I think about it, with the macros and debunks and crows and everything. That's kind of weird, actually, now that I'm thinking about that. But anyways, here it looks like they are just going to pass it over, and Odyssey gets a copy of Crescent. Here, setting 4 and then activating the Crescent here macro is activated, revealing Secrets, Wisdom, and another Crescent. So obviously just trying to pick ones they don't care as much about getting banished in a sense. And here it looks like they get a copy of Wisdom, and then the Crescent's obviously getting banished here, summoning the copy of Temperance, activating the Secrets to add a copy of Wisdom. So maybe just trying to make it seem like they didn't get the copy of Wisdom here, I guess. Activating Temperance to tribute itself to summon a copy of High Priestess, and obviously the Temperance is going to get banished here. Let me just actually check this. This just tributes, right? You contribute this card. Okay, so it doesn't have to go to graveyard or anything like that. So summoning the copy of High Priestess here, but I mean, this can also banish from hand to pop a card, so that's also like fine. But here, just going to battle phase and inflicting some damage, activating the effect in main phase 2 to pop the macro, and really kind of funny here that the Iron Wall is then activated here. So obviously, this ability is going to, I believe, yeah, it's banished for cost to then pop. So it, preemptively, maybe that would have been good, given that once this was summoned, maybe he should have flipped it right away. But at the same time, now he's kind of turned off of this debunk and DD Crow. So interesting position to be in, honestly. Like I said, it contradicts kind of a little bit. Here, Odyssey is going to set that other copy of Wisdom and pass it over to Tony, who gets a copy of Ice Hand. That's extremely strong. I think under Iron Wall, there might even be a reason to try to push in with this, but maybe, I guess if Odyssey's thinking that this is an armor or something, then maybe this makes sense, because like this is one of the rare situations where Ice Hand can actually crash into something, though Odyssey does have this copy of Fiendish Chain here, so I guess that is a thing. He also has the warning, so he has like every way to kind of deal with the Ice Hand regardless. But here, Odyssey's going to go battle phase and attack into that Ice Hand. Ice Hand is going to trigger, but obviously the warning is going to check that. Here, main phase 2, Eternity's activated to add Secrets. Secrets activated to add Blue Boy. Blue Boy is going to be summoned, adding a copy of Tower. Just trying to kind of get out of this awkward situation they're in right now. Here, Tony gets another copy of Iron Wall, sets the Geargiano, so not looking good. And here, Odyssey does get a copy of MST for turn, so now they can start dealing with some stuff. The Tower is going to be able to be activated, putting back Eternity, getting another MST. Those are like perfect draws in this situation. Hitting the Iron Wall. Here, another Iron Wall comes down, but the other MST is going to come down. So now the High Priestess can banish Secrets, and it looks like they're going to go after a back row. Hitting the debunk. Okay, very strong, going battle phase, attacking in. That was a little bit of a risky play too, I feel, in case that was like another hand or something. But anyways, then attacking in with the Blue Boy. Here over to Tony, who gets a copy of Geargia gear. So that's a good draw, because they obviously still have enough targets in deck to resolve that. Here, it looks like Odyssey's going to get a copy of Blue Boy for turn, and they're going to activate Wisdom right away. Next, Tower is going to be able to be activated, but the DD Crow is going to be able to be chained, so banishing the Wisdom, which was the only Spellbook spell in graveyard at that position, so they won't get a draw. But Blue Boy in main phase is going to be summoned using the effect. And they're taking a second to think, getting a copy of Crescent, because again, they have no spells. So here, revealing Secrets, Eternity, and Power. Okay, getting the copy of Secrets, that's a strong one, obviously. Getting a copy of Eternity off Secrets, using High Priestess, banishing Secrets to pop the back row. Lance is chained, and overlaying for Daigusto Phoenix, and that might almost be just about game, because that's 3,000 and then 17. Oh, Geargia gear is going to be able to be activated here, though. So it looks like one of them will be destroyed. Main phase 2, Eternity's activated to add Secrets. Overlaying the Daigusto Phoenix for a copy of Downward Magician, and Tony needs something. Here, getting a copy of MK2. That's actually a very good draw here, because they can summon it, use the effect, and oh, but the Fiendish Chain comes down, and I believe that is just game. Yeah, Tony is going to scoop it up because the Geargia MK2 was summoned off of the Geargia gear. It is going to be level 4, so they can't even make, like, say, a rank 3 or anything like that. So very unfortunate, but honestly a kind of wild game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on this video, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to go down to the video description to find out how you can send in your hat format replays. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.